Laura Ingraham is going to join us for a second. And Laura, as an attorney yourself...
Wait, did you say for a second, Sean? For a second.
Hi, Laura. Laura, you can stay for the whole show. We'll co-host together. We're friends.
Oh, come on. I mean, I'm sitting here in this incredible studio. I'm like listening to
Seriously?
Judge Janine and all the great guests.
In your own house. I'm telling the world where you are right now.
Are you in your house, Laura?
It looks like it. She doesn't look like she's in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah, the party is here. I don't know why. We're celebrating the Gorsuch pick. I don't know what y'all are doing.
All right, let's look at
the margaritas going. It's great.
Oh, great. Thanks for inviting us. We really appreciate it, Laura. Let me go to, for example, some of the cases that went before him. Hobby Lobby, Little Sisters of the Poor. Yeah. Some of these decisions, controversial, but what do you glean from his judicial philosophy based on those decisions?
Yeah, Leonard touched on this earlier, Sean, but he's a textualist, which means he doesn't believe that judges should read meaning into statutes or the Constitution that didn't exist at the time it was written. He doesn't believe in reading legislative history, taking into account other contemporaneous documents or other notes written by legislators. He believes that the intent of what Congress passed in statutes and what our framers wrote in our Constitution is what should govern. That's textualism. That's what Justice Scalia believed in, and that's clearly what Neil Gorsuch has guided his judicial life on. And that's very reassuring for those of us who believe that the judiciary, especially in really the last half century, has been much more activist. In other words, acting like a super legislature of unelected judges who have life tenure and who are not accountable to the voters. So Judge Gorsuch is a refreshing change from a long history of judicial activism coming from the left, appointed by mostly Democrats, but not all Democrats. Republicans have had a lot of swings and misses in these judicial appointments, and conservatives across the country certainly hope that Judge Gorsuch is not going to be the disappointment that, let's say, a David Hackett Souter was, or in some cases, of course, the man for whom Neil Gorsuch clerked, Anthony M. Kennedy.
Yeah, and Judge Janine, let me ask you, what do you take out of Hobby Lobby, that particular case, Little Sisters of the Poor, and his decisions there?
What I take out of that is the fact that he holds religious liberty extremely important.
Right.
And the criticism that we're now hearing that the left has conjured up is that he's anti-woman and pro-corporation. They take from Hobby Lobby and Little Sisters of the Poor the fact that because Gorsuch said that the right of Hobby Lobby to say, look, and Little Sisters of the Poor to say, look, we don't want to be forced to give something or provide abortifacts, something against our religion to women who work in for Little Sisters of the Poor. It's against our religion. They're interpreting that to be anti-woman and pro-corporation.
Wasn't it a religious liberty case?
It's a religious liberty case that's in favor of the Little Sisters of the Poor and in favor of Hobby Lobby, saying we don't want to provide abortion and abortifacts.
Let me stay on this. Yeah. Go ahead, Laura.
Sean, if you don't have religious conscience rights, if there's no religious liberty that accrues to a group of people, whether in a closely held business organization or with a group as purely religious as a group of nuns who take care of the indigent elderly, then what does religious liberty mean? Like, what did our framers actually intend when they wrote the First Amendment to the Constitution? That case, and in his disposition of that case, reveals a lot about his judicial philosophy, and that should be very reassuring to people who believe in the original meaning and a more textual interpretation of the Constitution, which, again, empowers the original meaning of the Constitution. And when he does statutory interpretation, he doesn't substitute his own judgment for the judgment of duly elected representatives.
And that is exactly what his
for the
quote
separation
was.
of powers.
Laura, that's a great analysis. And let me go to Jay on this very same topic. It's very interesting because if it really is a religious liberty case, as Laura points out, a First Amendment case, if the government, think of it the other way, if the government is allowed to mandate that the Little Sisters of the Poor or a corporation must do things that contradict their deeply held religious values and convictions, that is particularly chilling and frightening, and it should be for anybody, whether you're liberal, libertarian, conservative, it shouldn't matter, right?
You're absolutely correct. Look, I've had the privilege of litigating for 3 decades in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. And on religious liberty, let me say this, Judge Gorsuch, and Laura's absolutely right, but in his concurring opinion in the Hobby Lobby case, he pointed out, he went at length to point out that the Green family had constitutional rights that can impact their business. In other words, you didn't have to separate your faith from your business, especially when it was a closely held corporation, as Hobby Lobby is. So there's fundamental recognition of the right to religious liberty, both on an individual basis, but in your daily life and in your business, should be comforting to everyone. Now, look, there's those on the left that don't like the Hobby Lobby decision, but the fact of the matter, if you look at the text of the Constitution, if you understand what's called the religion clauses, the majority opinion there was correct, and Judge Gorsuch especially was correct in his concurring opinion. And let me say something else about the concurring opinion. He went out of his way to point out exactly what his view of religious liberty was in that case. He didn't simply join a majority opinion. He put in writing what exactly his thought was.
And the fact that the president selected him as his nominee in a case that is so important in terms of contemporary issues that involve religious liberty tell us where Donald Trump is on this particular issue and how important it is to him.
Yeah, he also weighed in on the Second Amendment. He said he respects the Second Amendment, writing in the U.S. versus Games Perez that there is a long tradition of widespread gun ownership by private individuals in this country, and the Supreme Court has held the Second Amendment protects the individual's right to own firearms, not be infringed. He used the actual text of the Constitution, Laura.
Yeah, he was referring to the Heller case, and that was a layup, in my view, of a decision. But again, the thing he's going to get smashed on by the Democrats is the right to die, the euthanasia book, which informs us of his view on life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Like, what? You can't deprive another person of life, even if it's at the end of their life or preborn children. I mean, that goes to the heart of what the Constitution really is all about.
What will their argument be on that particular book?
I want to go back to the issue of exercise of religion. First Amendment doesn't give you the freedom to worship. That's not all it says. It's the freedom to exercise, free exercise of religious belief and understanding. That means you can believe what you want without the government forcing you to do something contrary to your closely held fundamental religious beliefs. That's what we have to understand about Judge Gorsuch.
And one of the issues that is going to come up is the issue of abortion, and there is very little or nothing on abortion.
That's all every liberal commentator is talking about tonight.
That's all they care about, but there's nothing. There's no writing on the abortion issue, and they're going to try to interpret through other cases what he may feel.
Real quickly, because I'm running out of time, do all of you believe, as I do, that Roe v. Wade is bad law?
Yeah, I think the authors of Roe versus Wade recognized it was bad law. They made it up. I mean, this was a decision that should have been left to the states.
Exactly.
The federal government took it over by having the Supreme Court adjudicate this. But, Sean, let me tell you what, at the end of the day, in about 8 to 10 weeks, maybe less, we're going to be calling him Justice Gorsuch.
Well, there's no question. He's well beyond the Supreme Court.
Laura, last word. Will he get through? And do you think they'll have to use the nuclear option to do it, Laura?
I believe they will have to use the nuclear option, and I think he will get confirmed, and they're going to have another nomination probably in the next perhaps 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Really?
Really? Do you know
that soon? What do you know, Laura?
I agree.
Laura, tell us. What do you know?
You're drinking margaritas alone. You won't share information. What's up with that?
No, she's right.
I wish.
I think in the summer you're going to have another vacation.
That's probably true.
What do you think?
I think in June, after this next session, I think there will probably be retirement. All right, thank you all for being with us.